That is the Thiruvalluvar, which is 133 feet tall. And the earlier plan was also that he would go there and pay his respects, because Prime Minister Modi has been constantly praising Thiruvalluvar, well, like whichever country he goes to, and he has been quoting the Thiruvalluvar couplets over there. And right now that you see, that's a ferry that has moved with the Prime Minister from Vivekananda Rock Memorial. For more than 40 hours, the Prime Minister was conducting meditation inside that particular spot, inside in the rock mandapam, the Dhyan mandapam, the Sabha mandapam, before the Vivekananda statue, in the Dhyan mandapa, in the Pad mandapa, which carries the footprint of, as per legend, the Kanyakumari goddess itself. And as his ferry is moving, so is the security force, the speedboat and everything that is provide security to him is also going along with the Prime Minister inside the ferry. Slowly the ferry is moving towards the Thiruvalluvar statue. This is a statue of might, 133 feet, actually denoting the 1,330 surviving couplets of Saint Poet Thiruvalluvar, a poet that is favorite, Prime Minister Modi's favorite as well. So that way, his ferry is slowly moving towards the Thiruvalluvar statue. This is the third day the Prime Minister is at Kanyakumari, and he's actually been here for quite a long time doing his meditation. He has enjoyed the sunrise over here, the sunset over here. He has done several pujas inside the rock memorial as well. Now we got information that early there is a chance for him to go to Gandhi Mandapa, but it all depends on the time frame as well. 3 choppers are waiting to take the Prime Minister back to Trivandrum, from there back to the nation's capital. If the weather does not permit, there is also alternate plan to take the Prime Minister by road, which is almost 80 kilometers from Kanyakumari to Trivandrum as well. Right now, the ferry has landed at the next rock. Gaurav, that's the place where the Prime Minister, the ferry has landed right now.
And these are iconic images, 2 images that you see on your television screens. Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the Vivekananda Rock Memorial, where he meditated for the past 45 hours and counting. And now he's taken that ferry that you see on your television screen to that statue of iconic Indian poet, saint and philosopher Thiruvalluvar, the author of Thirukural, the sacred couplets. What's extremely remarkable is the fact that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is, as of now, with the statues of 2 people who he holds in reverence, who he respects, who he's inspired by. India Today's Akshita Nandagopal now joins me for more on the story. Pramod Madhav stays with me on this big story. One, Swami Vivekananda, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi has repeatedly said that he's been inspired by the philosophy, life and teachings of Swami Vivekananda. And now he's going to that iconic statue of Thiruvalluvar, very, very well-respected Indian poet, saint and philosopher. The Prime Minister has referred to Thiruvalluvar's teachings, his philosophy, whether he was in France or he was in Ladakh. And this is something that shows how much he loves and respects that philosophy that teaches nothing but love, devotion and ethics, Akshita.
Very true, Gaurav. A whole lot of symbolism involved in the pictures that we're showing you right now of the Prime Minister who's just reached right now at the Thiruvalluvar statue. You can see that the ferry has just reached in the small piece of land where this tall statue is completely made of stone. It was inaugurated on 1st January 2000, the 25th tallest statue of the country. So truly a fitting tribute for this great poet who is, revered greatly here in Tamil Nadu. The Prime Minister, as you pointed out, Gaurav, with so many speeches, has referred to what really Thiruvalluvar professes about the Tirukural, even insisting on, in fact, several times speaking the Tirukural in Tamil, which is hugely difficult, challenging, of course, for the Prime Minister, but it hasn't stopped him from trying every single time, because that's how hugely inspired he is by Thiruvalluvar and by Tirukkural, largely social messages of how one should live, about the ideals that one should live by. So very similar to what Swami Vivekananda's teachings are all about. You can see these images on your screens right now of, in fact, at the base of the Thiruvalluvar statue. Everyone's reached there. The Prime Minister is there too. Remember, the statue right now is under renovation, so it's been closed off for the public for the last many months, Gaurav, which is why the Prime Minister too will reach right up to the base of the statue and then make his way back. But the messaging here is so crucial, especially in Tamil Nadu here, when the Prime Minister has repeatedly spoken about how much, the likes of Thiruvalluvar have influenced him, have influenced his political ideals as well. So that's why he's taken the time out to move from the Swami Vivekananda Rock Memorial right next to it to the Thiruvalluvar statue as well. This statue has faced a few challenges in the sense of, in its construction, it's taken more than a decade by itself, Gaurav, but now stands tall and is perhaps the most iconic landmark of Kanyakumari. Beautifully lit up
Isn't this
in the night as well.
amazing?
It's from here that you get that setting of the sunrise and the sunset.
Yes,
Yeah.
Akshata and Pramod, if I could quickly draw you also into this conversation, how our vast country is united in one thought, in one belief. We are all children of Bharat Mata. Now, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in France, he referred to Thiruvalluvar and he referred to what's written, those sacred couplets in the Thirukural, where he said, when a mother hears her children being praised by intelligent people, that mother feels more pride than she would have when that child was born. Very simple thoughts, but so true, important. So the teachings of Thiruvalluvar, that every child, not just in Tamil Nadu, but across, they're told to imbibe it in their life, is so important. The Prime Minister is taking that message forward, Pramod.
It absolutely is, Gaurav. The Tirukural that you're referring to is about a Kural where it says, like, the mother, no matter how much she actually praises her son, the biggest praise she can get is when others call her son as a wise man. And that is one of the Tirukural of, like, that was written by Saint Poet Thiruvalluvar. In fact, the two monuments that you see over here, one is about the unity of India. That is the Vivekananda Memorial, because legend has it that when he was doing his penance over here, he got this larger vision of a united, larger India. And the other one is about a world envision, because Tirukural, it's called as a Ulaga Pudumurai, which actually means that a kind of like knowledge for the entire world, because the Tirukural breaks down into Arathupal, Purutpal and Kamatupal, with way it's like completely covering the all entities of the life of like how a person should live. And that's the reason, like just like you mentioned, there are several parts of the Kural, and the Prime Minister has been, be it like a Kural that talks about the farmers, be it about the Kural that how a person should actually live, be it about a Kural that how the person should respect each other, be it about a Kural that how you should actually control your tongue, or be it about a Kural that how it says that you should be careful about what you say. All these things are covered the Thiruvalluvar. In fact, there you could see the visuals of the Prime Minister in front of the majestic statue of Thiruvalluvar over there, 133 feet, and that's a Prime Minister with all the security detail at present in Thiruvalluvar as well. Thiruvalluvar has been very close to his heart. Whatever the teachings of Thiruvalluvar, that has been a kind of like guideline for several saints and revered people. And that's the reason the Prime Minister has been in fact, you could see from here that he's actually paying his respects through a garland or like a flower or like a red color object over there. And that's how he's like his respects over there to Thiruvalluvar. And this has been like an important aspect, because before going to the statue, he was at Vivekananda Memorial. Imagine, Gaurav, over there for 40 plus hours. He stayed in that place. This is the third day in Kanyakumari, and right now he's at the feet of Saint Poet Thiruvalluvar, who gave a kind of like guideline as to how to live and how to treat others for the entire world. That is a Prime Minister wearing white clothes near the feet of the 133 feet tall the statue of Thiruvalluvar, Gaurav.
And this is so beautiful, Akshata, these images, the imagery that we see on a television screen, and the philosophy and the thought that we talk about. 45 hours with Swami Vivekanand at the Vivekanand Rock Memorial, and now at that iconic poet, philosopher, saint Thiruvalluvar's feet. worshipping him, praying there, talking about the two philosophies, and the fact, as you very rightly mentioned, Akshita, the Prime Minister has tried to speak Tamil. Each time he's quoted Thiruvalluvar, whether that conversation that I was talking to you about in France or the one in Ladakh. When the Prime Minister went to Ladakh, he once again, Akshita, quoted Thiruvalluvar saying that shaurya, bravery, सम्मान, respect, maryadapurn vyavhar, or vishwasniyata, the fact that you can trust and the fact that you behave in an organized manner, चार गुण किसी भी देश की सेना के प्रतिबिंब है. These are 4 signs of what an honest army should be about, and the Indian army functions like that. So he quoted Thiruvalluvar from Tamil Nadu in Ladakh. Just goes on to show one country, one philosophy, one thought, and such a beautiful thought, Akshita.
There are so many Kural that come to my mind, but very difficult to really translate them, Gaurav, which is why I suspect the Prime Minister also chooses every single time to say them in Tamil. And during the 45-hour meditation, while he would have been thinking of what Swami Vivekananda stood for, his ideals, I have no doubt in my mind that a lot of the Tirukural that the Prime Minister has read would have also been going through his mind, which is why he's made it a point to go now to the Thiruvalluvar statue. You can see him standing right by the feet of the statue, paying a floral tribute also to Thiruvalluvar. If you were to talk about Tirukural, you've mentioned one. I remember Pramod also referring to another. One of the Tirukural that really personally stands out for me is where Thiruvalluvar says that if someone harms you, doesn't do good for you, don't harm them back. Do favors for them so they're shamed into, criticizing their own behavior. That's one Kural that's always stood out for me. But there are countless such messages that come out from Thiruvalluvar. And his words, stay alive so particularly in Tamil literature, even today, it continues to inspire so many generations, which is why the Prime Minister paying tribute right now to Thiruvalluvar is so crucial in Tamil Nadu as well, because it sends across a message that the Prime Minister recognizes one of the greatest legends ever to be born in Tamil soil. And it's a message that he's not just in Tamil Nadu, as you point out, but in several other occasions, because that tells you that it's truly inspired him. Some of the teachings, some of the messages that Thiruvalluvar has espoused in the Tirukural, which is why soon after now, he's paid a visit to the Thiruvalluvar statue. We're hearing there's a possibility, Gaurav, that right after this, when he takes that ferry and comes back to the boat jetty, there's a very, very popular Gandhi Mandapam along the coast here, just a few meters away from the boat jetty. There's a possibility of the Prime Minister visiting there. That's too along the beach road, in which case, look at the messaging involved. Look at the symbolism, Gaurav. The Prime Minister started off his dhyanam for 45 hours at the Vivekananda Rock Memorial. So speaking about what Swami Vivekananda stood for, the significance of that is huge and something we've discussed for the last 2 days. Then on to the Thiruvalluvar statue to speak about the ideals of Thiruvalluvar, the message that Thiruvalluvar were always espoused, and the social message of how to live an ideal, perfect, unselfish, selfless life. And then if he visits the Gandhi Mandapam, then talking about also how much he's inspired by Mahatma Gandhi. Again, someone he's spoken about with great regard in several circumstances, it's several times during his many speeches. So in one place in Kanyakumari, as part of his dhyanam, he's managed then to visit 3 of the most influential icons on his life and how he says he lives his life and what he believes should be the guiding path for him, because the Prime Minister maintains he's coming back for a 3rd term. And it's these leaders, these philosophers, these guiding lights who essentially inspire him for, he says, his 3rd term as well as Prime Minister, which is why the timing of this dhyanam is also so crucial, Gaurav. It's happening just days before really the results emerge. And now, of course, it's back to crunch time for Prime Minister Modi. Once he leaves from here, he's going to be making his way back to New Delhi. So that's quick spiritual break coming to an end now with such important symbolism.
So 1 hour and 53 minutes to go, where India Today will get you the most authentic exit poll results. And of course, on the 4th, the poll results. And absolutely right, as Akshita puts it, the Prime Minister is very confident that he's coming back for a third term. And that is why this meditation and this sojourn of his. Now, just for a moment, Pramod, tell us more as we look at these images of Prime Minister Narendra Modi at Kanyakumari, at Thiruvalluvar's statue, praying there. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has spoken of the importance of Thiruvalluvar's philosophy on his life and the fact that the BJP also had a major portion of that in its manifesto in the 2024 elections. But beyond politics, is this philosophy, as far as the Tirukural is concerned, it's like the Bhagavad Gita, it's like the Ramcharitmanas. Every child in Tamil Nadu is actually taught not just to learn it, but also imbibe it in life. It's a way of life, Pramod.
It absolutely is, Gaurav. In fact, the choral that you mentioned to earlier, that was called as Indra Purudil Peridavarkum Tanbaganai Sandon and Akatai. And what Akshita was referring to is Inna Sedari Urtal, Avarnana Nanayam. These seem to be guidelines for the Prime Minister that you see over here, who actually stood over there and he saw the Rock Memorial of Vivekananda as well. He spent some time to see over there, and that's what you see over here in those frames. In fact, the cops are asking us to move from here because of security reasons, but let us give you this particular steady frame. That is the Prime Minister who is over there. He's placed a red garland at the feet of the Saint Paul Thiruvalluvar, and as we speak, he's actually leaving. He's actually leaving He's actually leaving the Thiruvalluvar statue, and from there he's going to the ferry as well. In fact, cops are asking us to move from here, Gaurav, for security reasons. But that was the Prime Minister after Vivekananda Memorial. He spent some time at Thiruvalluvar. He wanted to pay respects to the Saint Poet, and over there he's leaving back to the ferry, Gaurav. Over there, that's the frame you could see. That's the Prime Minister who's actually going to enter the ferry along with the security forces. The person over there wearing the white dress, that is the Prime Minister, Gaurav. After almost spending 10 minutes at Thiruvalluvar statue and 40 plus hours at Vivekananda Memorial, he's slowly leaving back. And from here, that's the Prime Minister over there with the SPG and such. Just like you mentioned, all the words of the Saint Poet seems to be the guidelines for the Prime Minister over here. In fact, those are the guidelines for the entire world. Leaders should take as guidelines. The Prime Minister has been constantly quoting them wherever he goes to show that the actual Saint Poet Thiruvalluvar's couplets have meanings. One word, one line can mean things, and that's what he's been using. And that slowly the Prime Minister is moving back to the ferry after paying his respects at the feet of Thiruvalluvar, Gaurav.
And Pramod and Akshita, the choice of place for meditation, Akshita, at the point which is the confluence of the Arabian Sea on one side, the Bay of Bengal to the east, and the Indian Ocean. Where the three waters meet is where the Prime Minister meditated for 45 long hours, thinking not just about the cultural nationalism that Swami Vivekananda spoke of, but also the teachings and philosophy of Thiruvalluvar that just shows the richness of Bharatiya Sanskriti, of Indian culture and Indian philosophy.
You know, I sense, Gaurav, that the Prime Minister has always been in awe of the structures behind me. I don't know if you can see it, but you can actually see the three colors of the seas as they're merging together behind me. When you stand here, you most definitely can see it. But I don't know whether it's actually translating on screen, that you can actually see the waters of the Arabian Sea, Indian Ocean, and Bay of Bengal actually coming together here. So it's a beautiful location. You know, you couldn't have asked for a better location, really, because one, you've got so much of history attached to it. Second, the Asta and Sanskriti that you're referring to, all of it in those two pieces of land, they're reflecting what India stands for, reflecting India's rich history and the many leaders, the many icons we've had who've professed thoughts and ideas that till today despite so many generations having passed, being so very relevant for all of us. And then, of course, you have the fact that this is in the southernmost tip of the country. The Prime Minister previously too has posted images of the Thiruvalluvar statue and the Vivekananda Rock Memorial every time he's passed by during his hectic political campaigns, during, of course, his official programs as well. And that's always told you that the Prime Minister has had a fascination of sort with this area because of the connect that it has and also because of how simply breathtaking it is. So I think the Prime Minister coming here, he's sending across a message, of course, where everyone today is reading up about the Vivekananda Rock Memorial, about the legend that Swami Vivekananda actually swam from where I am, 300 meters away from the Rock Memorial, swam up to that piece of rock, that piece of land, meditated for 3 days and 3 nights there. The vision of Bharat Mata, of divine Bharat Mata, came to him when he was seated there during his meditation. So from Narendra, he became Swami Vivekananda. At this very point, he attained enlightenment and then swam back to the shores of the Kanyakumari town. This happened, generations, 131 years ago. And then there is the Thiruvalluvar statue. Thiruvalluvar, the Tamil poet, philosopher, who stands for living the ideal life. And he kind of tells you through his...
Getting that's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on board that ferry with that iconic statue of Thiruvalluvar, a very well-respected Indian philosopher, saint and poet. Images of Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the feet of Thiruvalluvar. What should a person's way of life be? Thiruvalluvar's philosophy, it encompassed the wisdom where emphasis was on sympathy for fellow human being, for family, for friends, for clan, and for country. These are images that you see of Prime Minister at Thiruvalluvar's statue. The Prime Minister has referred to Thiruvalluvar's philosophy. He's referred to Thiruvalluvar's way of life and how it's had a very deep impact on him. Imagine the Prime Minister has referred to Thiruvalluvar while he was in France, talking to overseas Indians there, taking that Indian culture, referring to that Indian philosophy across 7 seas. The Prime Minister also referred to Thiruvalluvar very extensively. What should an ideal army be like? The Prime Minister then was in Ladakh. So that's the northernmost part of India. The Prime Minister currently is at the southernmost tip of our country, but it's that one philosophy, that one way of life, Pramod, that's all about Bharat. And Swami Vivekananda, right at this point, at that Vivekananda rock where the Prime Minister spent 45 hours meditating, had that vision of Bharat Mata. Ladakh se Lakshadweep, Arunachal se Gujarat. That's what the Prime Minister often refers to. Ek Bharat, Shresht Bharat. Pramod.
It absolutely is, Gaurav, and you could see actually the might, the way the ferry is actually moving, and behind that the security forces are also moving, providing security to the Prime Minister. In fact, one of the Indian Coast Guard helicopters also here doing rounds. That way, all security measures has been given to the Prime Minister. And just like you mentioned, the 2 monuments here that stand on the southern tip of India, one denotes the unity of India, and the other one denotes about the world love, the world peace and such. So these are 2 important monuments. It looks the Prime Minister has decided to go ahead and pay his respects for. And there, the actual pictures that you see are the Prime Minister inside the ferry and the special forces behind him slowly moving as he's closing the jetty from which he will take his convoy. There is a possibility that he could go to Gandhi Mandam to pay his respects, or and he can fly back from here using the Indian aircraft helicopters, which we also showed you earlier. 3 helicopters are here, but the aspect here is about the unity of the nation and also about how the world, like the entire world can follow the preachings of one saint poet called Thiruvalluvar, both standing next to each other, where the Prime Minister had paid his respects. One side he did the meditation, and other he did not forget to pay the respects as well to Saint poet Thiruvalluvar. And from here he's slowly moving back to the ferry, and those are the images that we're showing to you, along with the security forces that have been here for the past 3 days. 2,000 policemen, SPG, commandos, Navy, the Indian Air Force personnel, all were here providing safety and security to this place, nearly a cordon of 2 kilometers in the sea and the land, Gaurav.
Oh, absolutely. And Akshita, what were people, how were people on ground, leaders on ground, how were all of them reacting to Prime Minister Narendra Modi being here? It's a great tourist destination, but is it also looked at as such a center where there's so much about Indian thought, about Indian philosophy, and idols of two major philosophers of our country?
There's no doubt about it, Gaurav, that, many of the locals have been speaking to here. They've been saying that we hope the Lakshadweep model kind of comes alive here in Kanyakumari, which is that after the Prime Minister's visit, there's a huge tourism boom. Yes, there's been a lot of focus of Kanyakumari as far as tourism goes, but really never did anybody know the historical context of those two pieces of land behind me, of the Vivekananda Rock Memorial or the Thiruvalluvar statue. So locals here have been saying that, look, we hope that with the Prime Minister's visit, there's a lot more talk, a lot more focus on the historical importance of Kanyakumari. For that matter, the Bhagavati Amman temple as well, which the Prime Minister visited. I've been getting so many messages asking me, where is this temple? Is it close to Kanyakumari? Is it right, in the town? It's right by the coast. So from there too, you have a beautiful view. So it's been amazing really to see the kind of response also, because while, there's a lot of talk about the story behind the Prime Minister choosing this venue, what it inevitably does is creates a huge economic boom also for these towns. So many people who ask me, can we meditate in the Vivekananda Rock Memorial like the Prime Minister? The answer is very much yes. So, it creates that awareness, which locals are very, very happy about. Sure, there's been a whole lot of politics over it, Gaurav, with many leaders here too in Kanyakumari belonging to political parties in the opposition raising eyebrows over this particular visit. Many of them have questioned why there have been endless restrictions in place. I can tell you that, yes, on the day the Prime Minister landed, the entire area close to the beach was closed off because of the Prime Minister's movement. But since then, they've opened up this entire area, the boat jetty where the Prime Minister is expected any moment now, and we've got our eyes glued to that particular point. Tourists were allowed there till 11 a.m. this morning because they were allowed to take a ferry, go on to the Rock Memorial, which is, by the way, where the Prime Minister was meditating. So they tried to ensure minimum inconvenience while also, of course, very importantly, ensuring that the security of our Prime Minister wasn't compromised in any manner. So sure, there was all of that criticism that came, this entire visit's way, but being on ground here in Kanyakumari, I can tell you, Gaurav, that as much leeway as there could have been for tourists who were here hoping to visit the Vivekananda Rock Memorial, they most definitely managed to get that done. So all in all, as far as, the sentiment on ground is concerned, tourists happy, many of them saying that, look, we came here to visit some of the local sites. We've managed to do that and now hoping to catch a glimpse of the Prime Minister. Highly unlikely, really, that when he makes his way through the coast, he's going to be stepping out and greeting people. Even when he came in, we were told from the few people who he interacted with that he was already, in that spiritual sense of mind where he was keeping very silent with a namaste, bowed down to everyone he met, but that was about it. So kept his interactions minimal. Now, at this point, I can see that the security is making its way up the boat jetty. I'm not sure if you're getting these images right now, but we will keep our eyes glued on the moment that the Prime Minister deboards from that ferry and gets down onto the boat jetty. He'll walk up to the vehicles on standby there, and then we'll know if the Prime Minister is going to make a brief stop at the Gandhi Mandapam, which is just less than 100 meters away from this particular area, from the boat jetty, Gaurav. Some of the most iconic places of Kanyakumari, and this is the beauty of it, the most iconic parts of Kanyakumari, all of them are right by the beach. So you've got that beautiful scenic setting and these places with such historical, spiritual context as well.
You're absolutely right. And yes, we are getting those images that you and our camera person are sending us from the boat jetty. We also have pictures of the Prime Minister now at various places. But I want to understand from Pramod, the conversation right now, the choice of Tamil Nadu, the choice of Kanyakumari for 45-hour-long meditation, the talk about Swami Vivekananda's philosophy, the last phase of polling in Varanasi, which is the Prime Minister's seat, also in Bengal, where Swami Vivekananda and as some argue, the criticism by Bengal Chief Minister of whether it's the Ramakrishna Mission or ISKCON, all of that became a talking point, and there was furious backpedaling by the Chief Minister. Is this being looked at as politics by the Prime Minister, or is this actually being looked at as a spiritual break before, as the BJP puts it, the Prime Minister starts his third tenure?
Gaurav, just as we were speaking, the Prime Minister has exited the ferry. He has entered the jetty and he's walking all the way towards the convoy. You could see over there, my Vijay, Divyan Rajkumar is actually showing you that is the Prime Minister who, after finishing his 40 plus hours of meditation and paying his respects to Saint Thiruvalluvar, that is the Prime Minister Narendra Modi who's actually entering his convoy. And this entire area I have to say that it's a commendable job done by the security forces. There's the Prime Minister. Before entering the convoy, he's standing over there and he's actually looking at the sea and everything. That's the Prime Minister over there in our visuals. You could see that's him, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He was here in the Kanyakumari for the past for the 3 days and so far. And he's also just like you mentioned, there have been certain amount of criticism. But on one side, DMK or Congress, they claimed that this was a political strategy and a way of garnering votes. However, when we spoke to the security forces over here, who've been standing on guard 24/7 without taking a break, they claimed, for example.
So 1 hour 37 minutes to go for India Today's exit polls. All eyes then on India Today television, and Rahul Kanwal, who better than Rahul Kanwal and Pradeep Gupta to tell us what's next. Rahul, take it away. What are we looking forward to? Kiski kitni seetein aa rahi hai?
We are currently in the war room of the India Today group, where preparations are underway for the exit poll coverage that starts at 5 p.m. I just stepped out for a moment because the man of the moment, Pradeep Gupta, has just walked in. Gupta ji, welcome. He's just flown down from Mumbai looking very tense. आप इतने tense क्यों लग रहे हो भाई?